Hey guys, welcome back to another My Team Career Mode video. We are here today for the Miami GP, which is something I've never done before, a track I've never raced. In the previous race, we were at Imola, so if you haven't seen that one, go check that out. And also, if you like this type of content, F1 gaming content, please remember to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. If you're new to the channel, just remember that this is basically your casual gamer trying to get good at F1 games. I haven't played these in a long time. Played them a lot when I was growing up as a kid. But yeah, this is me getting back into it and trying to get good at these games and see if I can build myself up to matching it with some of the better drivers and racers out there. So getting into the weekly activities in these, I'm just trying to make sure that I'm building team morale, building resource points, and building my driver's abilities and developing the driver. I try not to choose anything where I'm going to affect the department morale, because that, I think, impacts on whether developments are coming through or not. And we've had a few failures lately, so I don't really want to be contributing to that by choosing things that are going to adversely affect their morale, like this one that you can see on screen where a lot of that red is with the negative. So I try and choose things that are always going to work out with money, team acclaim, and driver improvement, driver development. We got a few car development upgrades waiting, a couple of chassis, one aero, and a durability. And we are the 7th best rated car on paper, but we need these things to start coming through so we could start looking at maybe driving up towards the points, because it doesn't look that good. But we're not going to have that happen if we keep getting these development failures. So just missed out on the chassis upgrade, which was going to be helpful, obviously. And then I already had the roll dampers one, which I forgot to restart after it failed in the last race. So I got 2 developments that have failed, and then I don't have enough resource points to actually get them going again. So we just got developments sitting there waiting to be put on the car, and I just can't actually get them going. And it's kind of frustrating, because the longer we aren't developing the car, the more chance cars around us are improving their cars, and soon enough we'll find ourselves right at the back of the performance chart. A couple of these little department things. So ask the driver, this was like a PR thing. I accepted that because, like I said before, just trying to get as much team acclaim as I can so we can start looking at getting more sponsors, more money. That means more developments. This question asked me which livery I preferred. I'm always going to select Ferrari, so they are also our engine supplier, so that would be the best option for me. And in this one, I had to choose where I thought we had the edge over our rivals. I said engine. We do have the most powerful engine. That gave us a 20% boost to the powertrain morale, which is really good, and 1,000 driver acclaim. So I think I chose the right option. So week moved on. I got a little bit of development resource points, and I just put that straight on those roll dampers again, because let's just get something going. Let's just get something on this car, because otherwise we're going to be quickly slipping back, as I've previously said. We actually had an aero upgrade complete itself, so it was only a minor one, but anything's going to help at this point in time. So this is my time trial runs that I did on this track. I've never raced on this Miami track before, and like I show these in all the videos just to show myself learning the tracks and trying to get better and progressively improving my times. This is a track I said I'd never done before, and it reminds me a lot of Valencia, the old Valencia track, but it's actually really difficult for me. I found it quite tough, especially those little chicanes. Under the bridge, under the overpass there, and just some of the corners are really, I don't know, it's just weird to break into, and it was a struggle to like get used to it. And it shows at the end when you look at the times that I was doing compared to a lot of other people around the world. I'm way off the pace. I'm about 6 seconds off the top time on the PlayStation. So there's a lot of work to do there, but you know, we've got 10 seasons to get better at that track. So this is now going into the race itself, as in like the weekend. And this was just the practice sessions. And like I said, I was struggling. So the setup I ran was the most comfortable setup I could use at that point in time. And I couldn't do anything. Like, I was really just failing a lot of the development programs in the practice sessions. I actually had a few goes at it because I still needed to get used to this track. It's not like something like Spain or Spa, which I know off the back of my hand. This was a whole new experience, and I just wasn't quick enough to complete a lot of these development programs, and I really didn't get a lot of resource points. I did okay on the timing sheets through the practice sessions, but they're also misleading. So, you know, you never know really where you are until you hit qualifying. As you can see, I get like 150 resource points. I think my teammate actually got more than me in this one, which is a super shock, but actually a relief that he's actually getting some resource points now. So this is into qualifying, and this is my one and only run. I only do short qualifying. I don't do the multi-session qualifying. I just try and get it all done in one short qualifying session. I think it's about 10-15 minutes or 18 minutes or whatever it is that you do. And I just do a couple of runs, 2-3 runs, and I just, whatever time it is, that's the time. I really feel like there is a lot of time wasted in qualifying. So this was the only run that I did because I had an issue. At the beginning I thought, it's not too bad, up in the top 10, but I went out, I fast forwarded some of the time, and then I went out again, and something that they've changed from the previous version of this game that I played, which was 2020, which I only played a little bit. They changed your tires automatically, and they sent me out on the worn tires that I'd already used, so I wasn't going to improve. And then I raced back to the pits, and I didn't have enough time, as you see there, 1 minute 30 to go and do another lap. So that was it. That was my time. Everyone improved way in front of me, and I ended up finishing in 21st and got out qualified by my teammate and my rival, which is Danny Ricciardo. And I also spat the Chewy a little bit and just went, you know what, I'm just going to take all fresh new engine parts, take my 1 spot extra grid penalty, and just get a whole new car for myself.
Welcome to the Miami International Autodrome, home of the Miami Grand Prix. This exciting track circumnavigates the Hard Rock Stadium, home to the NFL outfit, the Miami Dolphins. With great opportunities for wheel-to-wheel battles featuring 19 corners, 3.36 miles long, and expected average speeds of 138 miles per hour, the Miami International Autodrome will be sure to create lots of chances to overtake. It's time to take a look at our starting grid for today's race. Fantastic effort from Charles Leclerc yesterday, and it's put him on pole, edging out Sergio Perez, who lines up P2. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Verstappen, Hamilton, George Russell, and Fernando Alonso. Gasly, Bottas, Sainz, and Mick Schumacher. Tsunoda, Norris, Alex Albon, and Ricciardo. Ocon, Joe, Sebastian Vettel, and Kevin Magnussen. Stroll, Alessio Deleda, the owner driver. And with preparations almost complete, let's head down to the track. Now I wonder, Anthony Davidson, might we be in for some early pit stops today from the midfield teams, trying to put pressure on or disrupt things for the leaders up front?
If you're in the middle of the pack, you got your own race to run, I don't think they're going to be thinking about causing trouble up front. However, closer to the head of the pack, don't be surprised to see some split strategies. If you're running second and third, for example, bringing one car in for an undercut while leaving the other one out there longer can put a lot of pressure on the leader and maybe force them into an error.
As far as strategy goes for this one, I elected to go with the hard tire first. I've not been doing that in the last few races, but I thought for this one, new track, it was a bit of I considered it a bit of a practice run, so I just thought, let's just do something interesting against the grain.
Here we go then. The formation lap is underway, and the track temperature looks warm, may or may not play into some of the team's hands for today's race. With all the cars reform the grid, the drivers will be hoping to get a strong start. They'll want to earn some valuable points from today's race, with final communications being done with their race engineers, ensuring their planned strategies are all in place.
Miami GP and my 22 place grid penalty for all those new engine components. So I am actually starting behind Latifi now, and we're off. And Charles Leclerc gets a great start off the line, and so does Sergio Perez, who ducks down the inside, almost takes a piece of his wing off on the back of Leclerc, and gets ahead of Max Verstappen, followed by the two Mercedes of George Russell and Lewis Hamilton. Green flag running all the way through, no incidents as yet, so a clean start for everyone, including myself so far. And we just skip ahead into the lap a little bit here, and I'm just really trying not to get any damage on my car in these first few laps, and just see if I actually have the pace to stay with these guys. And the one thing that I noticed straight away is that I had no straight line pace. Like, my pace down this straight, and you'll see all through the race, is shocking. I have it through, it's a bit like Adelaide. It's a bit like Melbourne, where I had a lot of advantage through the corners, but down the straights I was just a sitting duck. And this is kind of the experience I had on this track. I really need to get to work on the drag on this car, so that we're not getting caught out in the straight line. As Perez goes deep and Max Verstappen slips up the inside on his teammate. Perez still sticks the nose in, but the smart option for the future of your drive at Red Bull. Sergio is to let Max through, as he does, and that is now Leclerc in the lead, Max Verstappen in second, and Sergio Perez in third, followed by George Russell very closely behind. And those Mercedes have really been keeping those front two cars of the Red Bulls and the Ferraris honest all season. So could have a three-way fight sort of coming towards the end of the season, depending on who's winning these races. This is me and my teammate, and we've already had a couple of collisions throughout the season so far, but even he had more pace than me, and it was kind of really disheartening that I couldn't stick it to him. I was on the hard tire, he was on the medium tire, but you know, he had the same advantage that everyone else had over me, and that was that straight line pace, as you see here, where he just breezes straight past me. And he does have DRS, but that was way too easy. And for someone in the same equipment as me, who hasn't been showing that he has the pace to keep up with me, you know, most races I'm at least a half a second faster than him per lap. He's just walking away from me. So a lot of that does have to do with this track. I'm not used to it. I got a lot to learn about this track. This is actually, it was a very, very struggly whole race for me, to give some things away. It's almost like my second Monaco in a way. Unless I can do a lot of work, I think I'll get to grips with it eventually, but there was a lot of places that caught me out around this track. This is Perez making a move on Fernando Alonso, who was in fifth position. This is for fifth position, and he can't stick it, and Alonso gets straight back through. So I think there was contact there. That looked like there was a bit of contact to the front of Sainz's wing there. Sainz's front wing copped a bit of a hit, so maybe he gets wing damage. It is very sensitive, this game. The AI will kind of pit for anything, like any little touch to their front wing, any little piece comes off and they're straight into the pits next lap, which you can kind of live with some of that damage from what I can see, but the AI, yeah, very quick to just jump straight into the pits. As Sainz comes back again on Alonso, and this time they make contact again, and he can't get it done. Alonso is able to get him under traction when he's kind of getting stunted by the contact, and they have to go single file through this section. There is no opportunity to pass there unless you're crazy. I'm sure people do it though. And down this straight, he's going to get another run as he has DRS, but maybe he does have wing damage because he really didn't have all that much pace over the Alpine. And no, he doesn't. He's staying out. So obviously no damage so far to Sainz's car from all these little knocks that they've been giving each other. So just tough racing, and that might do it. That was pretty hardcore, like as far as the touches that you can have. He was rubbing up against the rear wheel there, and Alonso is now coming under threat from Bottas as well, who is doing really, really well this season. He's always there or thereabouts with the 5th, 6th, 7th positions. Any cars drop out and he's like threatening for podiums almost a lot of the time if any of these top cars drop out. And as they go side by side, and Alonso has to back out there as he almost gets squeezed into the wall by Bottas. It'd be nice to be in amongst all these battles, but just right now we don't have the car for that. So I think this is the battle for 5th. Now we're on board with Sainz, who did get damaged, so he is in for the pits. There's no other reason. He's on the medium compound tyre. This is not a scheduled stop, so he would be coming in for a wing. So obviously all those little taps eventually did enough damage to his front wing that he needed to come in, and he's putting the soft tyres on. So I would expect that he's going to do another stop. He can't go to the end of the race on those. We're now looking at Charles Leclerc. He's got a bit of a gap there on Max Verstappen and has a pretty comfortable lead in this race. This will be his 2nd race, looking pretty strong and in the lead, and could really help him in the championship as he comes out of... Whoa! And he's in the wall, and that is Leclerc out of the race. He's taken his wheel off, and Max Verstappen goes through. And what's happened there? He's just come through here and just grabbed a whole bunch of throttle and spun it out. That was actually looked a little bit silly. A bit amateurish in a way. But I guess they got to generate it somehow. And Charles Leclerc is out of the race, so that's a big hit to his potential points that he could have got for the championship. 25 points that was looking like he was going to get, and now that's gone to 0 as Verstappen comes in and changes his tires, and everyone's coming in because we have a safety car, the Mercedes double stack. And it appears that everyone's going on to the hard compound tires, looking to go to the end of the race. All the cars are invisible or transparent. It's interesting. So I'm now catching up to the back. I didn't pit because I was already on the hard compound tires, and I thought, let's just go for a bit of track position and see what we can do. Maybe we can create something. So I'm up in 6th position, behind one of the Alpines. That is, no, not an Alpine. That's an Alfa Romeo of Valtteri Bottas. And so it's Verstappen, Hamilton, Perez, Russell, Bottas, and then Gasly, Mick Schumacher again in the top 10. Alonso, Albon, way up. So the safety car has thrown a bit of a spanner in the works. Some of these guys electing to stay out and could put them in a better position. Sainz is still way down there in 18th. I'm not sure if did he stop again? Potentially. He's only just in front of my teammate, and Vettel's at the back, and Norris is at the back as well. So people all over the place. I really do enjoy these safety car broadcasts. The feature where you don't have to do all the laps. I find it cool. It makes it fun to play the game. And gives you a break too sometimes from, especially on a track like this where I felt like I was always having to be in peak concentration to try and not bin the car. Speaking of which, if you haven't seen any of these videos before, you can go check out at the end of each video how many times I made a mistake, because I will be showing all the flashbacks that I used throughout the race weekend. And as a disclaimer, in this one, there were quite a few. A lot of places were catching me out, and yeah, couldn't be helped, you know. Someone who's trying to get used to this game again and get good at it. We're going to make mistakes, like anything in life. When you're trying to get good at something, you're always going to make mistakes. So I don't mind disclosing any of that stuff. I don't mind being transparent in that area. I think that's part of the fun of playing it, because it is just a game after all, and we don't need to take these things that seriously. So safety car's in this lap, and we are going to get underway again. I tried to get a bit of a run there and take advantage of being behind, but they held the pack up a little bit too much, and we're going to see what we're going to be able to do. We don't have the tyres, like the fresh tyres, and Gasly got straight past us down that straight, and then we had a moment with Alonso, and basically it was me just trying to hold these guys up as much as possible through these windy sections. That was really doing my head in, that chicane. I was having a lot of trouble with that, but Alonso made pretty light work of us down this straight. It wasn't too hard for anyone, in fact. I just had super drag, and if you can hear that buffeting, there's something going on with the game as well, with the sound. I actually wasn't able to save the highlights reel. It had an error came up on the screen. It said cannot save. And then, yeah, in this replay, I was just getting this buffeting noise with the sound. So there's still a few little bugs in the game that they need to iron out with an update or something. But hey, that's just happens with anything, you know, with new games. There's always going to be little bugs. They got to put it out there to find them. So, you know, that's why they have updates. We got passed by Ocon as well down that straight, and yeah, I was just basically a moving chicane throughout this whole race, and I did basically treat it like a practice run. It was just a good opportunity for me to get a bunch of laps done in a row and learn this track, because my pace wasn't there. The car doesn't have the pace as it is anyway, and I just wasn't up to grips with it. I was making mistakes a lot, and like I said, you'll see that later. I was just getting past. Eventually, they were going to get past me. Even though I was catching them through the corners like this, I seemed to have pretty good pace through all those little twisty sections. But anytime we hit one of these straights, I mean, Albon's gone. That's a Williams. And then I got passed by Ricciardo, and it was just a matter of time before everyone got past me. Super annoying, that noise. I couldn't. I don't know. It just seems like after that first update came out, they fixed the freezing issue, but then it brought about a bunch of other issues. That was Tsunoda going into the pits. He had I think a damaged wing or something. And then Sainz has finally got past me. He's moved up to 12th. I think he was down in 18th when he was behind the safety car. And then I come in. This is only, you know, we're moving through this one pretty quickly. This is only 11 laps to go, and I forgot to turn off the broadcast mode for the pit, but it really didn't matter in this one because I was just having such a tough time of it. And that shifted me straight down to the back. I went from the hards. I had selected the mediums, but the team ended up putting on the soft tire and said that it was going to go 9 laps, and then they said I'd still have another stop. So I don't know what the theory was behind that at all. And I was like, stuff it, I don't care. I'm just going to go to the end on these and just see how long they last. Wasn't going to stop again, so unless I had to, like for anything else. And see if I had any kind of pace on these soft tires as well. See, I was still struggling, and even with, you know, I'm using the joystick, I'm not using a steering wheel, so corners like that can be just increasingly more difficult because of just the braking zones and everything that you got to do there. This is Deletta, my teammate, having a look at Latifi, I think it is. Yep. And trying to make the move. Can he finally do something positive for us? He's not been having a good run of it. Can he get a clean race and get it done and actually not finish last? So he gets the move done on Latifi, and there is a little bit of a train behind. I think that's Stroll and Daniel Ricciardo, potentially. No, I think it's actually Norris, because he was at the back during the safety car period. Tsunoda catches up to me pretty quickly after his pit stop and makes pretty light work of me. That straight was just a killer. I was just getting killed every time. Anytime there was someone behind me, they just close up the gap. So this is the battle for the final podium spot, third position, between George Russell and Sergio Perez. Hamilton is in second. Max Verstappen is in the lead of the race. And seems to be a bit of a reoccurring trend for Perez. Verstappen seems to be up there, and then early doors he kind of gets past, and then is fighting down here amongst the Mercedes. As we see smoke coming out of the back of George Russell's car, and he's pulling off to the side, and that could be a retirement for George Russell. So Mercedes lose another power unit in the second race in a row. If you remember, in Imola, it was Hamilton who lost his engine. So now it's Red Bull, Mercedes, Red Bull at the front of the race. Just a little shout out here to Mick Schumacher, who is doing so well this season. He's up there again in the top 10. I think this is for 6th or 7th position. Also, Pierre Gasly up there. The AlphaTauris haven't been showing much pace at all up until this point. They've kind of been tussling at the back of the field. And this guy, just having an outstanding season so far. He's in 4th. This is Valtteri Bottas, who just keeps collecting up the positions when the top teams drop out. You know, any of the Mercedes, Red Bulls or Ferraris that have a failure, Bottas is right there to pounce in that Alfa Romeo and pick up the positions that are on offer, and he's having a great season there with Alfa Romeo. As we move on to the final lap of the race, this is Max Verstappen. He has been untouchable ever since Leclerc retired from the race by putting in that wall just behind him, and hasn't looked back since. Hasn't had a glitch, hasn't had any threat from anyone around him. Pretty easy win for him today as he comes through this final little section here and wins the first ever Miami GP for Red Bull, followed by Lewis Hamilton and then by Sergio Perez. Here I come. There's no point in showing you anything else. I was really just trundling around on my own and trying to get to grips with the track. So Tsunoda pitted again, so I was able to get in front of him, but outside that, there was no one else that I was actually competing with. 19th position. Tsunoda gives me a touch on the way through at the end of the race. And I'm hoping that in the future we can try and learn this track a bit more and do a bit better.
Here we are then, a phenomenal Miami Grand Prix. What a great show of skill from our race winners today. Anthony Davidson, a resounding victory today. What set them apart from the rest?
Well, they certainly stood out as a driver with tons of confidence on the track. I think their ability to keep their cool, even during some of the more hectic parts of the race, meant they were able to capitalise on the mistakes of other drivers, giving them the opportunity to make their way to the top spot with ease.
Red Bull are our winners today after showcasing some incredible driving. It's been a huge push.
I had to cut this up again because, yeah, I was getting that flickering issue again, so that was the best of it. Max Verstappen wins the race. Lewis Hamilton second, Perez third, Bottas fourth, and Mick Schumacher there in 6th. Alessio Deletta actually got up to 16th, so positive signs from him. Got ahead of a couple of races there and myself. Verstappen leads the championship over Leclerc by 4 points, so that was a massive turnaround for him, DNFing early in the race. That could have been still a handy lead for him. I'm in 19th with Deletta in 21st, and our team is plumb last. Ferrari leads the constructors, followed by Red Bull by another 4 points. This is all my flashbacks, all my little bins and everything. This final like little bend coming out, just getting traction down, you will see I did that so many times. I ripped my bloody wheel off on the wall, losing the back end. Yeah, it just wasn't helpful, and this was the second hardest part of the track for me. I just like, that's just so shit. If I didn't get it right on entry, it would just step out and I'd be straight in that wall. This was a really epic one.
Are you okay? That was a big one. Confirm.
Unbelievable. I honestly had a lot of trouble with this track. This is all still in practice, by the way. This is not even the race. So it just makes it even worse. Like, what have I've wrecked the car 4 times already in the practice sessions. And then even just little things like this where I couldn't complete the development programs. I just went back and I had to run them back. It's just going to happen like that with some tracks where I'm not used to it. Little wing damages. I want to move through this. I just underestimated how much understeer I was getting there and just put it in the wall. It's all part of the learning process, guys. I don't mind showing this stuff. Getting too keen into there. A couple of times I had to do this one, and even then I just kept burying it into the side of Albon or Latifi, whoever it was. Yep, like, you know, when you're racing on this, you know that you're making enough mistakes as it is. I haven't done it enough times. I didn't see that wall coming that close, and I destroyed my floor on my teammate. And just all these little things, you know, exceeding track limits, destroying bits of my race. You know, I would have to pit for that wing, and how many times did I do that? So I just wanted to get through this race, and like I said before, I was just using it as a way to learn the track. Because I wasn't good at it. I wasn't accustomed to the track. I need a lot more practice on it. And the more we do the track, the more we race the game, the better we're going to get. And I will get good at it eventually. It's just going to take time. It just takes time and patience, and just increasing my ability, improving my racecraft, and, you know, still doing this with the controller and everything and not a steering wheel. Makes it a little bit more difficult on tracks like this sometimes. But look, I mean, what have I wrecked it like fucking 10 times? I think it's funny just to see that stuff. I think there's a lot of ego around flashbacks, and people get really testy with a lot of other YouTubers about their use of flashbacks sometimes, and I'm like, okay, just know how long it takes to edit a video. You can't be restarting races, or like, if you bin it as often as I do, I just never finish a race. So anyway, guys, that's it for the video. I hope you enjoyed it. Hopefully we do something better next time, because I am going to a track that I know in Spain. So hopefully something better is coming, and something I'm a bit more comfortable with racing, a track that I know very well. But anyway, if you like this video, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, help us out. Let's keep this going, this whole journey of learning to get better at F1 games. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next one.